Hello again, Glenn with Wogscapes. And today we are going to talk about color theory. These are some of the things that are going through my head when I'm working on a board and working out the color scheme. And this is a great time to show you exactly what I'm doing here. So I'm going to explain the color theory, and I'm going to be using this board as an example. So let's start with this board. Basically, I messed up, right? Because it's red. It's supposed to be Nurgle green. No, I didn't mess up. Basically, I've got two different factions happening here, right? I've got the Nurgle side of the board over here, and this is going to be something to contrast it. If you're going to try and make something pop, right? You want to put the opposite next to it. An opposite in hue or in tone. Something that's going to make it stand out. If you want red to stand out, you can put gray or green or something boring next to it. So with this board, with the Nurgle side here, I wanted something to make it stand out or help make it stand out. If the whole thing was Nurgly, then nothing would stand out. It would just look like an ugly carpet, right? So how do I do that? I do the opposite of it over here. So the three things I'm going to be talking about here when I'm talking about contrast. Contrast in hue. So where does that color fall on the color wheel? So red, the opposite would be green. That would be a contrast in hue. Blue is orange, purple is yellow, right? The complementary colors. You can also contrast intensity, right? So how bright is a color? A bright blue versus a dull smoky blue. That would be a contrast in intensity. You can also have a contrast in shade, in light and dark. A light red versus a dark red. So with this side, which is currently red, of course, going to be ugly, nasty, bright colors, greens, yellows. To contrast that, I didn't want to do bright red, I wanted to do dull. So this is going to be bright, this is going to be dull. So this side is going to be all grays, a little bit of beige and tan mixed in, so it's not too boring, but plain, right? I want just neutral, basically. That's going to help this pop. With this side, I'm starting with red, and then my second, that's going to be like the shadows, right? The second layer I'm putting on there is going to be gray. And the third layer is going to be a very light yellow. And then on top of that, spots of green. So just looking on this side alone, there's going to be a strong contrast between the shadows and the highlights, right? The shadows are going to be red, the highlights are going to be green. Because you've got that strong contrast in hue in one small area, your eyes kind of jumping back and forth a little bit, and they're fighting each other. It's very aggressive looking. Once again, as opposed to down here, everything's very natural, very passive looking. So again, you have aggressive and passive. That's the idea. We'll see how it goes. So the next phase is going to be getting the medium tones on here, and most of that's going to be done with dry brushing. I am going to do some washes to help break up the areas. If I just do red and then dry brush gray on top, it's all going to look very uniform. I want some random patches in here, so I'm going to be getting some of that in with washes of blacks and browns and rust colors as well. But right now, the next step is the middle tones, the grays on there, and it's actually going to be the same color gray that's on here, so it's going to tie the two together. Even though they're fighting each other, they're still a little bit tied together. So I'll show you how that looks when we get there. All right, cheers.